vibes. Where you say, family? Big up yourself, large up yourself. Your host, Selah, Shalom in the building. High noon with it. Cause it's the vibes. Yes, family, you done know the order. Hit the vibes. Hope y'all doing good out there. It's love and light. Selah Shalom TV. According to the text as it is written. Hit the vibes. It survives. Peace to the fam. We gon' vibe out. You know how we do. Your host Selah Shalom chiming in. All orders been shipped out. So now we just vibing. We going with the flow. Ain't nothing scripted. Everything improv. Direct inspiration. Peace to the righteous gods and goddesses. Peace to the Naravinian gods and goddesses. Gang, gang, creator, gang, gang. Give me a creator, gang, gang in the chat. Salute. Respect to all the gods and goddesses. The lords and lordesses. The Lord gods and Lord goddesses. You dig? Hit the vibes. Yes, family. You know what I mean? Just decided to chime in, get online. Was feeling inspired to do so, so I did it. Got no particular topic in mind at this particular time. You know how we do. We just go with the flow because it's a vibe. You know what I mean? Somebody may raise a question and we spark the cipher from there. You know what I mean? Somebody got to spark the cipher. That's how the God used to do. Yo, spark the cipher. What's today's mathematics, God? And then we'll start going in. Shout out to the 5%ers, man. Shout out to the 5%ers, the gods and the goddesses, the nation of gods and earths. Shout out them, man. Back in 96, the gods put the battery in my back to obtain knowledge. It was the 5% literature, that 120 lesson that got that battery in my back to go hard. You know what I mean? Peace, God. Peace, God. What's today's mathematics, God? Yeah, man. In the 90s, that was the fly shit. Before the Israelite shit really popped off, shit, the 5%ers was them niggas. Wu-Tang, they was dropping the 5% knowledge. That's what made us get into it. Like, oh, what they talking about? That's how powerful music can be. Because when Wu-Tang was talking about peace, God, we investigated that shit. When these niggas talking about peace, God. And then kind of find out, boom, we found out. These rappers today ain't saying peace, God. They're not even classifying themselves as gods no more. They classify themselves as killers. Being inspired by the Drujas, which we all are. Gotta work on it. We gotta get it right. Get it right. Peace to the fam. I see y'all chiming in. Harriet, I see you. Shannon Bronze, I see you. Kenneth, I see you. Jaway Z, I see you. We in the building. Creator gang all day. You know how we do. Dust your feet off when you enter the chat. You dig? You know, people say that, you know, the home of the truth is over here and over there. The home of the creator is over here. You know what I mean? The home of the creator is where we rep. You don't hear niggas represent creator. They represent their God, their Lord, thus saith the Lord. That's what niggas represent. Then every now and then they'll say Yahweh, mixing shit all up. But over here is thus saith the creator, and that's it. If it ain't from the creator, we ain't fucking with it. Unless it was authorized by the creator through true God. See the Bible readers are starting to see a little bit that God is not the creator. They starting to see that shit because the evidence is showing it in the Bible. Geno Jennings, I was watching him the other day. He got to be Lou amongst top apostle, Lou amongst top general at this point. Although Lou among is a redemptive position, but still, the way Geno Jennings go in, yeah, he a cold-blooded pastor. I ain't gonna hold you. That'll be a great debate. Geno Jennings versus Selah Shalom. Is Jehovah in the Bible the real creator, or Jehovah in the Oahspe the real creator? That's the debate I want to touch on. I want to debate your gods. I don't care about the nations. I don't care about Esau, Edom. Let's debate the gods. Let's get to the gods. That's what Malachi Maccabee said. Yo, this is the battle of the holy books. If you claim to stand on your square, if you represent God, you should have no problem defending your God. I used to watch it. No doubt, King. No diggy doubt. Mercy, I see you. Grace and peace, brother. Yes. I want to know, do the Oahspe talk about ancient astronauts and the Anunnakis? The Anunnakis in the Oahspe really is Anuhasaj. See, the Anunnakis is really, let me put it like this. The same way the 7-day creation story is a made-up story, same thing with the Anunnakis. Enki, Enlil, Ninkarsag. Those are made-up characters. I know it may hurt some people for me saying that, but the Anunnakis are not real. Keep in mind, these were the stories that Anuhasaj created and inspired mortal scribes to write down the words of the fairy tale, according to the language and the customs and cultures of where they lived at. So Osar came to Egypt and gave you the Egyptian story, the creation of Geb, Nu, Nut, and all that shit. You got that creation story. Then the Babylonians got the 7-day creation story, Enlil, Enki, Enlil. But all those were fabricated tales to keep mortals imprisoned. And Uhasaj made that shit up. You know what I mean? There wasn't no deity called Enki and Enlil walking around. These are mythical figures that they deified. It's like Osiris was a deity, but then you have other deities that was not real deities. They were more mythical. You know what I mean? But Osiris was the head honcho. Because someone say, well, Osiris is an aspect of nature. No, he's not. Osiris is a deity. He's a nigga sitting on the throne receiving judgment. Declaring judgment in the judgment hall of Ma'at. That throws out the window that Osiris is an aspect of nature when you look at the judgment hall of Ma'at. But the Anunnakis, although it's just like, for example, Santa Claus. Santa Claus is documented in history. Santa Claus been around since the 70s and all that. You know what I mean? So if some explorers 1,000 years later came to explore the ancient land of America and came across sculptures of Santa Claus, and because they got sculptures of Santa Claus, they got idols and images of Santa Claus. So say some 1,000 years ago, 1,000 years later, some archaeologists come to research America and they discover an image of Santa Claus carved in stone. And they may be like, oh, look, this must be the first man who stepped on the shores of America named Santa Claus. And now the whole stories get mixed up. But saying that to say, although historically, Santa Claus is in history, but the reality is that he's a fictional character. You know what I mean? So although they'll have documents, so if archaeologists 1,000 years later come back and find 1,000 years document of a Santa Claus, but they don't know the history of Santa Claus because they didn't live during that time, but they see a carving or a sculpture or idol of Santa Claus, it's an actual fact that Santa Claus is recorded in history. But it's not an actual fact that he existed as an actual person. So you have in history legends and myths that were created and embodied in human form, a deity or a man to convey the message, just like Noah and Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Those wasn't people, but they got it documented in history as people. But then the Oahspe shows these wasn't even people, but fleets of ships in the name of an ark cycle named Noah. So you got these different deities that these false gods made up. So Oahspe is the one behind that shit. Yeah, yo. Them Anunnakis, them dudes is really the documentation, the writing, the stories of the fallen angels. Oahspe is the head honcho. Anu is the head god in the story. Then you have Enki and Lil, Ninkarsag. Those are the ones came down to earth to experiment to create a man by crossbreeding them apes and trying to get men perfected. You know what I mean? They made several species of man before they perfected a man capable of really being a good slave worker. You know what I mean? Because that's what they were here for, to come mine gold. You know, there's so many variants of the story, but they came here to mine gold to take back to their planet. And then they went to South Africa where they mined the gold. So they got the story laid out. You know what I mean? But the same way we read Genesis and God is creating heaven and earth and God is walking through the garden looking for Adam and Eve, all those is allegories, you know what I mean? It didn't happen the way it's written in the book, you know what I mean? Even in the Oahspe, it talks about the Asu or Adamites. But it talks about how they were primitive and the angels came to them and interbred with them, creating another offspring. So, it's interesting. It's very interesting. No doubt, sis. But to answer your question in a nutshell, yes, the Oahspe does talk about the ancient astronauts, which are atmospherian angels and etherian angels. Atmospherian angels are angels that have not left the atmosphere of the planet. They're subjected to the planet. So we have the vortex, and the planet is in the center of the vortex. Atmospherian angels cannot leave the vortex. But etherian angels, those are the ones who graduated out of worlds in the atmosphere, and they have the ability to move around in the ether and then descend down to the atmosphere of a planet and then to the earth if need be. You dig? Talk about the watches. Well, it depends, because I'm not see, the watches, you know, you have the biblical concept of the watches, the Nephilims, the fallen ones. But like the Oahspe don't really touch on like watchers in a sense like how the biblical touch on it. You know what I mean? It just gives you like the term watch is saying exactly what it is. They watching. What are they watching? What are they observing? What are they learning? Are they learning, or are they trying to scheme to take over? So a lot of times, you know, we just gotta indulge chapter and verse and get context of what they talking about. Because see, the Bible talks about angels. It talks about fallen angels. It talks about the gods, but it doesn't give you a description of the purpose or why these gods is even interacting with mortals. In the Bible, you believe that God created man. In the Oahspe, the Creator created man. It's a difference. The gods are one-time human beings. A God can't create a man. Only the Creator could do that. Only the Creator could give life. The gods can't do that. The gods are here to manage that which is already created. So just like you got a garden and you got to manage the garden by trimming it, cutting the grass and all that, that's what the gods do. The angels and the Etherian angels, the atmospheric angels, the archangels, the Orion chiefs, they manage the kingdoms of Jehovah. The kingdoms of Jehovah are worlds, inhabitable worlds or uninhabitable worlds, worlds that are in the process of creation, worlds that are in the process of dissolution. Man is in charge and manage these things too. Matthew, what's good? I see you. Peace to the gods and goddesses, the righteous gods and goddesses. Yeah, so, the Bible had us hoodwinked for so long. Because see, the Anunnakis is the Elohims in Genesis. The God in Genesis, in the creation story, is the Anunnakis. Now, when you go back to the 7 tablets of creation, when you go to tablet 6, because tablet 6 is the 6th day. So when you go to that tablet, you're going to see, let me see if I can pull up that tablet and see who was the deity creating man. Because see, Hebrews will try to say, well, all people got a story of creation. But see, what's unique with the Hebrew story of creation is that y'all niggas spent time in captivity in Babylon, where the story originated from. The 7-day creation story originated in Babylon. And so coincidentally, you have that same story in your Tanakh starting it out. But before you went into Babylon, you didn't have the story of creation. You just have instructions from Moshe, right? Ain't that right? On the 6th tablet of creation, on the Amunah Elish, it tells you who created man. The deity. Because in the Bible it say God create man. But on the 6th day, it actually gives the name of the God that create man. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I could find the rise. Sumerian creation, that's tablet 1. I need tablet 6 so we can show. Let me see if I can pull up that tablet, yo. Let me see if I can pull up that tabby. Because in a nutshell, okay, that shit trying to take me somewhere. In a nutshell, the God that created man in the Amunah Elish was Murdoch, yo. So to be honest, the God you serve is Murdoch. Let me get a picture of Murdoch to show y'all. This is the picture of Murdoch. Murdoch, man, there. Hold up. Put a Babylonian Hebrews. This is a picture of your God. See, when you don't do your homework and you don't research or you don't study to make thyself approved, your ass gonna fall for anything that they throw out you. The 7-day creation story is not a Hebrew story. I repeat, the 7-day creation story is not a Hebrew story. It's a Babylonian story. This is your God. That's your God right there. For those who serve the Bible and believe that God created man, that's your God. That's Murdoch. When you read the Amunah Elish, let me pull up the Amunah Elish real quick. Show y'all something. The Amunah Elish, or the 7 tablets of creation. This right here. That right there. See that? That's the Amunah Elish. That's the 7 tablets of creation. This is where the Hebrews got the 7-day story of creation. Now on the 6th tablet, which is the 6th day, because each tablet represents a day. So you got the first tablet, the second, right? But when you get to the 6th tablet, it talks about the creation of man. And guess who created man? Murdoch. Murdoch is your God. You're not even, because El and Elohim's are titles. These are the names of the Elohims. Murdoch. That's your God, family. Let me get you a picture of him in stone. Because that's a drawing. Let me get a real picture of him in stone to show him historically carved. And keep in mind, I told you, these are fictional characters. These niggas ain't real. Murdoch ain't real. These is deities that they made up. And then they deified the deities. God is thinking that they real. These are your Santa Clauses. See that? That's Murdoch. That's the God who created Adam on the 6th day. That's him right there, family. This is where you got it from, Israel. You see what I'm saying? We got to expose this shit, Israel. We can't keep playing around with these false gods. Polluting us and shit with this falsehood. We got to address it. Yeah. We got to address this. Sixth tablet of creation. But yeah, it's a lot of Babylonian influence going on in the book. I can't find a tablet. Matter of fact, I could screenshot it, but I ain't got time for that. But y'all get the picture though. Murdoch is the God of the Bible. You dig? Brandon, I see you. Peace. Rottweiler in the building. Yeah, the Amun Elish, 7 tablets of creation. Murdoch. Matter of fact, I'll read it. Let me go to the 7 tablets of creation. I'll read their ass cloud. 6th tablet. Where is that? Booyah. Okay, where is that? Damn, this shit all messed up over here. You know, these tablets, they got like 2 words, and the gods, then they got a space, and 1, and then another space. I'm like, really? You know, it was, Alright, so this is the 6th tablet. Let me see if I can screenshot this. I don't even know how to do that shit on there. Well, you know what? I'll just read it. You know what I can do? Hold on. Alright, so this is the 6th tablet. This is the 6th tablet of the Amun Elish. In verse 1 it states, when Murdoch heard the word of the gods. So this is Murdoch talking. He said when he heard the words of the gods, so he's not even a supreme God. He's a lesser deity because he's talking about when Murdoch heard the words of the gods. His heart prompted him and he devised a cunning plan. Verse 3. He opened his mouth unto Ea. He spoke. So he's calling on Ea, E-A, a deity. That which he had conceived in his heart, he imparted unto him. Verse 5. My blood will I take, and bone will I fashion. Verse 6. I will make man, that man may, and then it got blank. Verse 7. I will create man who shall inhabit the earth. See that? Verse 8. That the service of the gods may be established, and that their shrines may be built. Verse 9. but I will alter the ways of the gods and I will change their paths. So right there, it's telling you that Murdoch gonna take, what he say? I'm gonna take my blood and bone and I'm gonna create man. And he's asking Ea for permission to do it. This is where the concept of the 7-day creation story, man being created on the 6th day, comes from Babylon. The Hebrews took it, changed the deities from the Anunnakis, and put Elohim in place, and just left Elohim and left you with no name. That's why when you read Genesis chapter 1, the whole chapter, everything is God, 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 God. But God is a title, so what's the name of this God? It doesn't give you a name of the God, nor can we speculate and say that that's Yahweh, because that's adding to something that's not there. You can't put in the beginning and say Yahweh Yahweh Elohim. No, it says in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, and God did this and God did this, and on the 7th day God rested. And it's only when you come to chapter 2 where it says Lord God or Yahweh Elohim. So right there it's showing you that we dealing with two different deities at two different times. So the Elohim in Genesis is just a title, it's not the deity. But when we go back to the original source of where they got it from, the name of that deity is Murdoch, the very God you've seen on your screen. Huh? That's your Elohim. That's your El. El is just a title. God Murdoch, El Murdoch. Huh? That's where it come from, yo. That's where it come from. That's where it come from, family. So the God you following, you thinking you following the Most High, you following Murdoch. If you want to be politically correct with it. See, son. Keep playing around with these false deities to try to get you caught out there, yo. We're not doing that. So a lot of these Babylonian gods is in your Bible. Babylonian gods is in your Bible, all through your Bible. The serpent, you know what I mean, which is Tiamat, or the whole concept of a serpent, the slaying of the dragon. Come on, yo. Look at the gods riding Tiamat. Let's bring up Tiamat. Early depiction of the serpent. And the serpent was the most subtle beast of the field. They talking about Tiamat. See that? That's Tiamat. That's the serpent in Babylonian literature. Keep in mind, Daniel chapter 1:4, the Israelites had to learn the Babylonian literature in tongue. So they had to learn cuneiform and they had to learn the literature, the stories, the legends. That's Tiamat. That's the serpent. You see that? That's Tahu. When the Bible, when it says the earth was out form and void, and it gave you a, I forgot the Hebrew word for it, but that could translate back into Tiamat. And then you got the goddamn concept of the slaying of the dragon. They got a color version of that. A lot of these concepts come out of Babylon, these early concepts of certain things. It got modified through the ages, of course. They changed it and switched it up and put it to their liking, doing exactly what their Bible said not to do. Don't add and take away. See that? The concept of the slaying of the dragon. All Babylonian literature, yo. Slaying of the dragon, slaying of the serpent. Yes, family. So yeah, man. This shit real, yo. We exposing all to bring you back to the Creator. That's the only way. You thinking you following these gods in your Bible, thinking you following the Most High. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, yeah, hath God said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? It's the serpent. And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the tree of the garden. Now keep in mind, let me come back here. We dealing with a serpent. Where do we see a concept of a serpent in ancient history? Because this is supposed to be ancient times. Now let's go back, because keep in mind, I told you this shit come out of Babylon. All these stories, all these gods come out of Babylon. Now where do we see in Babylon the concept of a serpent? Let me show you. Right here. Watch this. Show y'all, all y'all, you know, the Garden of Eden is in Babylon, Persian Gulf over there. The river, the Tigris and the Euphrates, that's Babylon. This shit come from Babylon. You thinking Yahweh gave y'all this shit? Yahweh gave you this? Them goddamn deities gave you that. When they realized that they could make you into a believer in them, they got you. So now, here is the serpent. Here is the serpent. The Cometians, the Egyptians, their story is not talking about no serpent trying to deceive women and all that. But where do we find serpents or talking serpents or humanoid serpents? We find that in Iraq, right back in goddamn Babylon. See that? This is the Ubaid period. This time period when these relics was made, 4th millennium BC, 5th millennium BC, pre-Egypt, pre-pyramid. This is before the pyramids of Egypt. This is before the rise of the Babylonians and the Assyrians. This is before the old kingdom of Egypt. This is before pre-dynastic Egypt. This is equivalent to the Nakada 1st, 2nd, and 3rd period of Egypt, 4th, 5th millennium BC. But here you see the serpent coming out of Babylon. Huh? Y'all want to talk about demons and serpents and shit? It's all in your book. But y'all want to sit there and got the nerve to talk about Oahspe demonic when your shit starting off with some goddamn demonic ass deities, a damn serpent. It don't get no demonic if you want to speak demonic. The serpent is the goddamn devil, right? That serpent, that old dragon, the devil, and that nigga's in the beginning of your creation story, and you want to talk about motherfucking books being demonic? The Oahspe opens up talking about worlds being created by vortices and the manner of how things are created. But over here, we're talking about a goddamn snake, a serpent, walking in the garden trying to convince Eve. So now this is evidence of the relics of serpents in history. Breastfeeding. Look at the one at the top. It's breastfeeding, and look at the baby. That shit like a damn serpent. So in Genesis it says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, hath God said, ye shall not eat of the tree of life, or the tree of the garden. No, he said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. For God do knows that in the day ye eat of it thereof, your eyes shall be open, and ye shall know, and you should be as gods knowing good and evil. Hold up. Oh, there you go. Hold on. I thought the page was ripped off. For God does know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. So this the serpent telling Eve, like, yo, you're going to be as gods if you eat of the tree. You're going to be aware. You're going to be consciously aware. And you're going to be knowing good and evil, right? And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and the tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave unto her husband with her, and he did eat. And the eyes of them both were opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together, and made them leaves of apron. And they heard the voice of the Lord God walking in the garden. The Lord God, who's supposed to be the Most High, is walking with 2 feet in the garden. See, we keep telling y'all worshiping a deity, man. The creator we serve ain't walking through no goddamn gardens, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? The only person walking through a garden is a deity, a man or a woman. And y'all been bamboozled all these years to believe that this Lord God is the Most High. First, you can't explain the Elohim in the beginning, and why did it change from Elohim to Lord God, or Adonai Elohim, or Yahweh Elohim? Why didn't it just stay Elohim? Why did it have to put Lord in the front of it now? You just shift the whole goddamn diameter with that one. Now we got to be like, well, who is Lord God? And then in comparison to God, and why the change? See that? But this is 5th millennium, 4th millennium BC. You see these serpent figurines coming out of the Ubaid period of ancient Iraq. And what did Daniel 1:4 say? And they had to learn the tongue of the Babylonian literature. This is what they was learning. All this shit come out of Babylon. This is what they were learning. They was learning the Babylonian story. And when they got them, Ezra wrote that Tanakh, they changed some shit up, modified some shit. Lou Among had them niggas, you know what I mean? Put together some shit. And now they like, nigga, this our shit. Now you can't tell an Israelite that 7-day creation story is Babylonian. He'll fight you down. He don't even know the origin of his own story. Moses didn't come with a creation story. I keep telling niggas that. Moses came with law, statutes, and commandments. That's what Moshe came with. Bazel was good, I see you. Makael was good, I see you. Peace to the gods. Peace to the righteous gods. Bro, I'm glad you going over this. I was just going over this last night. No doubt, King. And keep in mind, this whole story is false in fact. You know? It's false in fact. Yeah, rebuke them, my brother. Rebuke the spirits. Because anytime you start to break away from the false gods and seek to come back to the Creator, the spirits of darkness is working. They're working to prevent that. Because if you go back to the Creator and they lose your soul, they done lost a subject for their heavenly kingdom to make you a subservient slave. That's like slave master losing a slave. Boy, he can't afford that. He gonna send them goddamn hounds after your ass to get your ass and bring your ass back to the plantation. Because your ass done figured out freedom and liberty. You trying to get the fuck from off the plantation. But the other slaves ain't figured out freedom and liberty. They still bound on the plantation. They think they free on the plantation, not knowing they slaves. See that? It's the same concept with these false gods on the plantation. That's why I like to use the plantation and the false god scenario, because it's the same shit. Slave master is a false god. The slaves are his subjects. The plantation is the kingdom. And what do they do what do the slaves do? They go out and pick cotton for the goddamn slave master. Bring in the harvest. Who does the most work, he may be able to stay in the plantation. You got the field nigga in the house nigga. You got these same concepts existing with these false gods in the Bible and they followers. Same shit. So slave master, all those slaves he was mistreating and lynched and killed, he redeeming them niggas right now. He redeeming all the souls he misled. See what I'm saying? It definitely get deep like that. We was going in on that fraggle paddle yesterday. You know what I mean? Ain't nobody came and showed anything Jehovah spoke evil yet. Yo, look how deep this verse is right here, right? How touching this shit is, right? This in the book of Leah, son of Jehovah. Chapter 23. Verse 12. But now let me start from verse 11. Some drudges were easily captured and carried away, some weak, helpless, and harmless, but hundreds of millions of them mad and mostly desperate, some evil, fearful in desperate oaths, and foul talk, and dangerous withal. Verse 12. But others were most pitiful in their love to linger with their mortal kindred. See that? Mothers whose children dwelt on the earth, and the children's spirits whose mothers dwelt on the earth. To separate them and carry them away, to carry away such drudges, was a most heart-rendering task, requiring godlike souls to accomplish it. See that? Let me read that again so you understand what's going on here. But others who are most pitiful in their love to linger with their mortal kindred. So that's like somebody you love, you're dear when somebody close to you and they die. And in spirit, they linger with you because they so connected. They, y'all were so connected, you don't want to leave each other, whatever. So that person's life get cut short. On this side, you praying, you crying and missing them. And in spirit, they right there missing you. But it comes a point where y'all got to separate. Because if the spirit stay lingering, the spirit is going to decline in virtue. It's not going to start to progress. It's as sad as it is, but the spirit must progress now. So it says, but others who most pitiful in their love to linger with their mortal kindred, mothers, those children dwelt on the earth, and children's spirit whose mothers dwelt on the earth. To separate them and carry away such drudges was a most heart-rending task, requiring godlike souls to accomplish it. Verse 13. Jehovah said, as a mortal mother will cling to the mortal body of her dead child, till her friends must tear them apart, the while all souls who look on are brokenhearted because of her love. Even such is the bond between the spirits of the dead and the mortals yet left behind. See that? See that? Look at the context of what's being said here. Verse 13 again. Jehovah had said, as a mortal mother will cling to the mortal body of her dead child, till her friends must tear them apart, the while all souls, or people who look on, are brokenhearted because of her love. Even such the bond between the spirits of the dead and the mortals yet left behind. So the same way you clinging on and holding on to your dead child, and somebody got to take you apart to sever it because it can't be forever. The same way the spirits of the dead is clinging on to the living, like missing their departed ones in spirit. And it takes angels that got to take them apart and separate them so they can begin to progress. Because if not, they're gonna become a drudge. So verse 14. But when my wise angels look upon them and perceive they are carrying each other down in darkness, then shall they be torn asunder, and the spirit shall be taken away and provided for ultimate resurrection. See that? This is the progression of the spirits of the dead resurrection. Ain't nothing Jehovah said torturous yet. And it says for their ultimate resurrection. And only permitting to visit the mortal kin under... Hold up. Make sure I'm reading the right part. Is this an upper and lower? Yeah. So let me start again. Verse 14. But when my wise angels look upon them and perceive they are carrying each other down in darkness, then shall they be torn asunder, and the spirit shall be taken away and provided for the ultimate resurrection, and only permit to visit the mortal kin under due guardianship. Verse 15. And on the battlefields of the earth were hundreds of millions of spirits in chaos, still fighting imaginary foes in battle, not knowing their bodies were dead. See that? It says, not knowing their bodies were dead. These niggas done died and don't even know it. They still on the battlefield at war. Still thinking they in the flesh. Showing you the thin line between life after death. Your ass a crossover in spirit, don't even know that you goddamn dead. That's what the verse is saying. Verse 15. On the battlefield of the earth were hundreds of millions of spirits in chaos, still fighting imaginary battles, not knowing their bodies were dead, knowing not but to curse and fight, roving over the battlefields, and would not away, except by capture and being carried off. These niggas is bound to the battlefield. They cannot leave the battlefield because they stuck. The only way they can leave is, what did this say? The only way they can leave? And would not away except by capture and being carried off. This is the time where the Etherians got to come and clean up hell. Because if not, these niggas would be forever lingering on the battlefield. So think about all these wars going on in the world. Soldiers killing soldiers. Niggas dying in the 8s and packs of 10s. Civilians dying. All these souls, once they body get hit, plop, they wake up in spirit, still moving and functioning because you conscious. You still alive. When you die, you ain't sitting in no grave and waiting for the day of judgment. Soon as your body withdraw the breath of life, your spirit is active. It's just alive as it is as you was alive now. If you die right now, you're going to be just as alive and active as you is right, especially if you die in the heat of passion. If you die where you see it coming, or you know that it's a possibility. Like if you go into war, you know it's a possibility you could die. So you on the battlefield, bah, 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 bah. You take a shot, you know you got hit. But then when you come out your body, you like, oh, okay, and you just active, you back active. And then the scriptures say you fighting imaginary foes. So if 10 of you die, that's 10 spirits still fighting still fighting on the field. We had the Civil War, right, in America, what, in the 1800s or the 1700s, or whatever that shit was. Niggas still lingering on the field. We showed you the ancestor, she's still lingering on the field. There go this guy. Still lingering on the field, you feel me? So that shit is deep right there. That shit is very deep. Yes, Kevin, that shit is deep, King. That shit is very deep. So now, verse 16, thus did Ataniantus and his mighty host clear the earth, but of the great labors and wonderful adventures 1,000 books might be written, and thousands of heroes singled out, whose great achievements overwhelm one's belief because of the manifested love and power. So they telling you when these angels, these Etherian angels, went to clean up these hells, like the niggas, they was doing shit that we would consider goddamn Marvel comic book character type shit, some superhero shit these Etherian gods is doing. You know what I mean? That's why niggas classify this shit as fairy tale, because the ability of spiritual power supersedes mortal comprehension. That niggas put that shit in a space of, oh, that's science fiction, that's not real, that can't be. They denied Yahshua when Yahshua was doing all the miracles. Niggas was in denial. They couldn't believe that shit because they didn't understand the power of spirituality. Spiritual powers are on a whole other level. It defies the corporeal senses. It's outside of the corporeal senses. So if a nigga was to just walk through this wall and you like, how he do that? You like, that's impossible, because it's outside physical understanding. But the understanding could be understood. If we terrestrial beings, if we could speed up this vibration of this body to a point where it can move through objects, that possibility is there. But shit, you'll probably die as a corporeal being because your heart rate can't speed up that fast before that shit will bust. You dig? But yeah, yo, imaginary foes fighting on the battlefield. That's what's going on, yo. So if you want to go to war for your God, understand that you may be what? On the battlefield of the earth were hundreds of millions of spirits in chaos, still fighting imaginary battles, not knowing their bodies were dead, not knowing not, but to curse and fight, roving over the battlefield. And they would not away. They would not go away. They stuck. They bound. Imagine you get a vision of seeing the spirits of the dead on the battlefield. Imagine you get a glimpse of that shit. And they just moving back and forth, pacing back, running back and forth. Just stuck. Yo, to beholding of that, yeah, but these are the possibilities and the realities that the Oahspe is showing. These are spiritual conditions that await anyone who engages in these things. If you engage in warfare, and this is just now, this is any warfare. Warfare can be from the highest rank of government to street beefs with gangs. Crips beefing with Bloods, or this gang beefing with that gang. That same concept exists. So if Crips is killing Bloods and Bloods is killing Crips and this gang killing that gang, what happens? On the battlefield of the earth were hundreds of millions of spirits in chaos, still fighting imaginary battles, not knowing their bodies were dead. Niggas get pop, 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 pop. Nigga get his brains blown out. Pop, 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 pop. He dead. But he moved. He in spirit. He active. He like, what the fuck just happened? He running. Niggas start shooting. The first thing you do is start running. But if you get hit, pop, 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 and you fall as soon as your spirit come out your body, you running. You still moving. Because you don't want to get shot, but you don't know you done died and now your ass is moving in spirit. A perfect example of this is in the movie Ghost, when Patrick Swayze got killed. The dude, I think he shot him, but I forgot. He got shot. Bah! And then the dude ran off, and you see Patrick Swayze chasing the dude. And then once the dude peeled the corner, he couldn't catch him. He turned around, he walks back, and see himself laying on the goddamn ground. And his girl is holding his head like, baby, stay with me. And he's seeing this shit in spirit. He can't believe what he's seeing. It's the same goddamn concept. Whoever wrote the movie Ghost is 100% on point with that shit. They got to know. They had to have been dealing with some spirit communion to put that fucking movie together. They had to do some serious research. Okay, this guy's back. Get your ass up out of here. Yes, family. You dig? So yeah, yo, this shit deep, man. These spiritual conditions ain't nothing to play with, man. These shits ain't nothing to play with. This is why the Most High say thou shalt not murder, because of these spiritual conditions. Verse 18. No, verse 17. And yet, not much less were the labors and adventures of Yasimis and Ugasa Dissipa. No, Ugasa Dispi. And her 6 heavenly places. These are just names of heavenly places, by the way. Where his Etherian hosts labored unceasingly, preparing places and keepers and nurses and physicians and teachers for the delivered drudges, the thousands of millions. See that? They have a plan for redeeming and restoring the fallen spirits, the drudges. And what did it say? It said what? Wherein his Etherian hosts labored unceasingly, preparing places and keepers and nurses, physicians, teachers, for the deliverance of the drudges. See that? Ain't nothing evil about that. They trying to restore their brothers and sisters who have fell to a point of damn near no return. But there's always a deliverance. Verse 18, Jehovah said unto Yasimis, or Usamasis, thou shalt assort the drudges, the peaceful to themselves, the dumb to themselves, the mad, the chaotic, and all other of my afflicted ones, providing sections and places for them, and teachers and nurses and physicians, for they shall be delivered out of darkness. This is Jehovah talking. Your God is talking about casting souls in the lake of fire to burn for eternity without a plan of redemption, while here Jehovah have a plan of redemption to redeem the spirits of darkness by placing physicians, nurses, teachers, getting them together, helping them out. So again, it says, and look at the strategy Jehovah said. Jehovah said what? Thou shalt assort the drudges, meaning separate them. The peaceful drudges, or the peaceful ones, to themselves, the dumb to themselves, the mad, the chaotic, and all other of my afflicted ones, providing sections and places for them. So he's dividing them up. And teachers and nurses and physicians, for they shall be delivered out of darkness also. Yeah, every one of them shall become as a star. Every one of them shall become as a star of glory in heaven. See the plan of the Creator? The plan of the Creator is to redeem and restore his fallen ones, not to cast them in burning hell for eternity. But just like you got some evil niggas in the streets, a lot of these niggas just need some direction and some guidance. You give them the proper guidance and direction and mentor, they'll change. They'll change, and they ain't got to go through the rocky road. Or they have to go through that rocky road, and then they'll meet the mentors down the line. When they locked up, or when they get older, niggas get a change of heart. It's natural. But here, Jehovah's not casting nobody in no lake of fire to burn for eternity. He stated what? Yeah. Every one of them shall become as a star of glory in my heavens. Verse 19. And Yasimis and his gods developed the 6 heavens of Oahspe, established places for the tens of millions of drudges, spirits of darkness, and provided order and discipline, and altars of worship, and schools and colleges, and factories, and all things whatsoever required in the primary heaven. The basic shit. So all right, we're going to take these spirits of darkness, create a primary heaven, a basic heaven, and get them start rising in the grades. Because these angels are below the grade. They're below the grade 1. So now it's time to set up colleges and schools to get them to start rising in the grades, get them educated. See that? Jehovah ain't playing no games. This is the real Creator over here. Ain't no angry and jealous God. Jehovah ain't said nothing out of anger and jealousy. He said, yo, we're going to redeem them, and they're going to be glorious in my heavens. Matter of fact, go ahead and start setting up the colonies. And watch it in the next 1,000 years. They're going to be glorious. They're going to be doing a service to Jehovah. Although they was drudges at the lowest point in life. It's like a homeless man in the worst of poverty eating out of trash can. And then you see him 10 years later, he done got himself together. He got a goddamn 5-story home, or whatever the case may be. Y'all know them stories. Y'all see how it go. See, our earthly experience is paralleled in the heavens. So the same way you can be met at your lowest point and then work your way up, and now you're at the top of your game, likewise with these angels, these drudges, these spirits of darkness are at their lowest point. That's why they're labeled drudges. They're below the grades. But then there comes a point where Jehovah will send the Etherian angels who are well orderly and disciplined to deal with these situations and raise them up. Create a gang. Now, this is verse chapter 24. We in the book of Leka, chapter 24 now, verse 1. Jehovah spoke to Leka, saying, Behold, the end of the dawn draws near. Go there once more around about the earth and her heavens, and examine into the labor of thy gods. And thou shalt take with thee thy Rapon host, and a sufficient number of heralds and attendants, and such musicians and messengers as thou desires. Verse 2. And when thou art come to Yatanti, my subjective heaven, thou shalt halt a while with Kaparos, and reestablish it in greater holiness and efficiency. These are names of heavenly kingdom that they're just talking about. For this is my only subjective heaven in the regions of the red star. Behold, the spirits of those that die in, see, check this. The spirits of those that die in infancy call out to me, saying, all right, let me pause it right there. I got to take a goddamn smoke break for this one. Now, keep in mind, in the Bible, it talks about killing infants, right? This dude's still here. All right, hold on. So now, the Bible in 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 3 talks about the commandment of killing infants. Now in this verse, it's describing children that died in infancy, grew up in spirit, and have questions about how life is on earth. Now these are the results of your God who killed these infants, and these are the questions that they have. Give me 1 second. Let me get that drink, yeah? Let me put on some music, yo. Let me vibe, yeah? Let's put on It's a Vibes. Right back, yeah? It's a Vibes. It's a Vibes. Yes, family. Selah, Shalom, back in another place, yes? Enjoying this nice day. It's over here raining outside. We got rain in the A. You dig? Low spirits attacking the channel, yeah, man. You just gotta ignore them niggas. I be trying to block them niggas be coming back, but fuck them, we gonna keep the vibes going. Cause even them niggas need lifting up. So check it. Now, check this verse, right? So this is the book of Micah, son of Jehovah, chapter 24, verse 3. Chapter 24, verse 3. Behold, the spirits of those that die in infancy call out to me. Let me go to the Bible first before I go into this. So we like to put the oomph from behind things, that punch. Let me go to 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel, chapter 15, right? This is a commandment by the Lord. Chapter 15, 1 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 3. Now, go and smite Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them not, but slay both men and women, infant and suckling. So it says slay infants. Slaying infants. So let's say they slayed the infants. They went up there and killed the infants. They did what the Lord said. Now, in the Oahspe it says, behold, the spirits of those that die in infancy call out to me. So the ones they killed in infancy are calling out. Right? This is the beautiful thing about the Oahspe. It got you the spiritual conditions of those who died in infancy. It tells you their side. While your Bible don't tell you their side, it just tell you your Lord got you committing murder. When he told you, thou shalt not murder. Not only he says thou shalt not murder, but he got you murdering infants. The lowest of the low. So here go the infants. Verse 3, behold, the spirits of those that die in infancy call out to me, saying, tell us, O thou Creator, how is it with the earth? How is it with mortals who dwell on the earth? Because they died in infancy. They never got a chance to live a corporeal life. But they grew in spirit. So now they have comprehension in spirit to raise these questions. So now it's stated what? Tell us, O thou Creator, how is it with the earth? How is it with mortals who dwell on the earth? What do they toil at? What do they toil at? Have they schools and hospitals and factories like unto ours? This is the angel saying, like, yo, we got factories. Do they got it? They don't even know. And we over here thinking that heaven is some vague place that's just smoky and cloudy. And they describing having factories and schools in heaven. While we scratching our head on earth figuring out if heaven even exists. They talking about schools and factories. So the same way we scratching our head, the same way they scratching their head about what goes down on earth. But keep in mind, these are the spirits that died in infancy, raising these questions as they matured and grew in spirit. So again, tell us, O thou Creator, how is it with the earth? How is it with the mortals who dwell on the earth? What do they toil at? Have they schools and hospitals and factories like unto ours? Have mortals mishaps and trials? And have they roadways and oceans of water, the hard earth? And have they roadways and oceans of water on the hard earth? Verse 4. How can these things be, O Jehovah? You took them away from having a corporeal life because you killed them in infancy, and now they have no understanding how these things can be. Understanding the corporeal side. The same way we can't understand the heavenly things, they can't understand the earthly things. As above, so below, as above, right? Verse 4. How can these things be, O Jehovah? Why is it that mortals cannot go down into the earth and into the bottoms of their ocean, even as we do in the heavens? See that? They say they can go down to the bottom of the atmospheric oceans with no problem. Verse 5. How did thou create us alive in the earth? What was the place like? Why do mortals carry around with them such earth houses, earth bodies? Cannot they go in them and out them at pleasure? See that? Meaning coming out, the spirit coming out the body at will. Verse 6. What do mortals mean, O Jehovah, by mortal life and mortal death? See, they have no understanding of this shit because they died in infancy. Doth clay and stone and water they dwell in, the earth body, have life and death? What do that mean? What do they mean by, this is mine, and that is thine? Verse 7. Shall everyone retain his own body? How do the earth bodies grow? Do they eat clay and stone? Showing you how ignorant these angels are on understanding corporeal knowledge. And the states, look at what they say. Do they eat hair that they may have earth hair? They have no knowledge. Verse 8. Why is it that they bring not up their bodies with them when they are dead? Were they clothed over their spirit bodies only, or over the earth bodies also? Verse 9. Great are thy works, O Jehovah. Take me to Yatanti, thy great subjective heaven. We would learn by figures and pantheons the illustrations of the earth. We would learn by the panoramic heaven what mortals do, how they live, and what their schools are like, how they have contrived to teach the corporeal senses by corporeal things, how their bodies are made and propelled, no, how their boats are made and propelled, how their vehicles travel along upon the solid earth. See that? So these are the spirits that died in darkness raising these questions to the Creator, like, wow, how did these things be? But if they would have lived the corporeal life, they would have had to understand it. But being that they died in infancy, because your God in the Bible, 1 Samuel 15:3, decided he would to kill infants, and these are the questions these infant spirits raised as they matured in spirit. See that? See the backlash? This is why Jehovah said, by killing you bring the afflictions upon the angels in heaven. Now verse 10, Jehovah said, for which reason, O Lika, thou shalt see to it that Yatanti, the Tanti is just the name of the subjective heavenly kingdom, be perfected unto this instruction, as well as to arouse from stupor the spirits of the dead who desire not to rise up from the earth. Lika told the rapping host Jehovah's words, and he also gave command to his chief marshals to provide the necessary spaceship or Activane with officers, heralds, musicians, and messengers. Accordingly, as soon as all things were in readiness, Lika committed the throne of Jehovah in Theovrakastan to his vice goddess, and Lika and the rapping host with their attendees hosts departed on their journey. See that? So that's showing you, yo, these are the questions the spirits who died in infancy had concerning how do corporeans or earthly human beings live. And then for them to get an understanding Lika, the Etherian god, is taking them to a subjective heaven that is made up subjectively like the earth. That's why I always use the Matrix. And that scene of the Matrix where Morpheus and them is standing in the white room, and they upload the program, and he can get an understanding of how it works. So that's the same thing that's taking place with these angels that died in infancy. So check it. Verse 13. Now, since the time of Lika in the plateau of Therovakistan, it had become habitable by thousands of millions of angels, and they were high in the grades. See that? High in the grades meaning what? They mean that they had grades like in the 80s and the 90s, right? Verse 14. So that their officers of selections was already preparing them by the millions for Jehovah's brides and bridegrooms to Jehovah. And there were thousands of heavenly cities besides Yagana Contra, which were now in beauty, refinement and delight, with music and rites and ceremonies most magnificent. Verse 15. Then there were officers over these officers, those places whose place it was to sort and arrange the inhabitants of cities, and other overseers and others over these for each 144 cities, and yet another over these officers, and he was called Marshal of Therovakistan, and he was of the same rank as the marshals of the host of Lika, conferring with the marshals in chief of Jehovah's throne. You see how they talking about ranks like this? This is like some military shit. They talking about 5-star generals and captains and lieutenants, officers and marshals. This is the army. This is Jehovah gang. System in order, delivering spirits out of darkness, having teacher schools and factories. This is the ways of the Creator. Ain't nothing angry and jealous and demonic yet coming from the Creator. See that? Jehovah said to Lika, finish thy visit and thy inspection, my son, in all the place of Haiti on the earth, leaving the land of Japheth to the last. And Japheth is China. And thou shalt go hither at the time of Chinese resurrection, and descend with thy ship, and take him up from the earth. That's the prophet China they talking about. He ascended up the same way they talk about how Yahshua ascended up in the cloud, and the cloud was no more. China, the prophet, ascended the same way. See that? It says, and thou shalt go hither at the time of China's resurrection. Because China resurrected after his death, just like Yahshua resurrected after his death. See that? And descend with thy ship, and take him up from the earth. Verse 2. And thou shalt bring him with thee to Yagankatra, where he shall remain, well, that's just the name of a heavenly kingdom, where he shall remain the few days that dawn remaineth. And when thy hosts ascend to Etheria, thou shalt take Chini with thee, and make thy home his home, until such time as he may be taught the ways and powers of the higher heavens. Wow. So China getting taken up into the Etheria kingdom. And this is the same time of Moshe. This is the 15th century BC around this time. Verse 3. For since his corporeal life is a sacrifice for the resurrection of men, he shall receive special care and assistance in heaven. Verse 4. Lika had been previously informed by the god of China as to the time China would die and be burnt up, with his ashes settled to the four winds, and the regathering up of the corporeal form of China, and the 7 days duration thereof. So what they're saying right there is, when you read the story of the prophet Chini, he prophesied that he said, yo, when I die, burn my ashes, and then take my ashes and scatter them in the four winds. And then when they did that, the ashes formed into a vortex, and by the force of his own will, through power, he manifested back and appeared as, he incarnated basically. He incarnated back into his body, but it was a spiritual body clothed with corporeal substance. And that he walked among men, and men didn't even know he passed through death. I was like, damn, that's some cold-blooded shit. So that's what they kind of was describing right there. So Lika shaped the course of his activated spaceship according to the instructions of his messengers, who had been appointed for that purpose, so that he should reach the field in time to raise up China before the multitude. The god of China had prophesied to mortals through his ward that a fire ship would descend from heaven on a given day and take China up to heaven. See that? Verse 6. Accordingly, a great multitude of mortals were assembled in the ash field, where they cast the ashes of the dead, watching for the heavenly ship. Verse 7. Of which matters Lika had been previously informed by his messengers, and Lika had in turn informed the god of China the time he would appear with the ship, that he may cause China to walk in the midst of the field and so be caught up. Verse 8. And all these matters were carried out to the hour and minute in the hands of these great gods. See that? And Lika caused the fire of the ship to be made visible to mortals. Huh? And the size of the ship was 10 times larger than the field of the dead, so that when the people beheld the light of the ship, they feared and trembled, and many of them fell down, bewailing that the world was coming to an end. See that? Huh? Y'all think y'all really ready for the second coming? Y'all think y'all really ready to see these glorious heavenly ships of fire descend down? What did the people say? Now they heard the prophecy that this was going to take place, so they there to bear witness to this prophecy. And when the prophecy happened, they think the goddamn world coming to an end. When the prophecy ain't say the world was coming to an end, but the event, the abnormal activity that they seeing was beyond their comprehension. They couldn't take it. Them niggas felt to their face, I can't take this shit. The world coming to an end. So again, what did it say? Lika caused the fire of the ship to be made visible to mortals. So they in a fire ship. So that's like a glowing, like a sun ship. And the size of the ship was 10 times larger than the field of the dead, so that when the people beheld the light of the ship, they feared and trembled. And many of them fell down, bewailing that the world was coming to an end. So you got this ship that's 10 times bigger than the field that they in. So you see this big ass goddamn ship of fire in the sky descending down. Verse 9. And God caused China to walk out in the field, and Lika sent down a whirlwind and took him up in the ship in the presence of tens of thousands of mortals assembled. Did not Elijah get taken up in the whirlwind? Huh? See, the Bible gives you vague clues about the extraterrestrial activity or these angelical activities with mortals. So the same way Elijah was taken up, what did the verse say? What did the verse say? And Lika sent, the Etherian god Lika sent down a whirlwind and took him up into the ship. A whirlwind is a vortex. In presence of tens of thousands of mortals assembled. See that? And Lika bore his course now for Yagantra, for the end of the dawn of Bon was near at hand. So they got China and they up and out. So this is why the Oahspe is so dope. It's so dope because it's so intricate and detailed. It says to the minute, to the hour and minute. You dig? You dig? They wildin'. But yes, family. We're gonna keep the vibes of Guan. Yeah, yo. Man, you got spirits that don't want to leave the earth, no doubt. Angelic, peace, love, and life. What's good, fam? Angelic, I see you. The great spirit, Jehovah, I see you. Peace and light. Peace and light. Yeah, we out here getting it in, yo. Hits the vibes. You know what I mean? We bringing out these revelations, these spiritual revelations of the Creator. Now keep in mind, you see how he dealt with the infants, how they had no knowledge of corporality because they died in infancy. So your angry and jealous God that couldn't control his temperament, killing infants, inspiring you to kill infants, and these infants raising up in spirit got these questions about corporeal life. Now, one thing we read about the Oahspe coming from Jehovah was he angry and jealous. Everything he was talking about was lifting and restoring the fallen ones, creating schools and hospitals and factories and giving them teachers so they could rise in the grades and become brides and bridegrooms and ascend to the ethereal kingdoms. See that? That's the focus, to graduate off the planet. That's always been the focus. So it's a vibe. Let's vibe with some music, fam. Let's put on some music and vibe out for a minute. Let's raise the rhythm. Yes, sir. Let's raise the rhythm. Let's raise the rhythm, yeah. Cause it's a vibes. We get edification from the Oahspe. The workings of Jehovah is matchless in the Oahspe. Cause it's a vibes. Let's vibe for a minute, fam. It's a vibes, yes, family. Selah, Shalom TV. It's always a vibes, you dig? As it is written. The battle of the holy books. Which book contains the words of the Creator? Obviously, you can see the wisdom of the Creator in the Oahspe, Jehovah's words. Glorious. Nothing evil and demonic yet. Eric Hamilton, I see you. We still here. It's a vibes. We still here. We still here. Can't nothing stop the vibes. The faith in the Creator is very important. Your strength in the Creator is very important. If you have any weakness in your faith in the Creator, the Drujas will use that against us. We got to stay strong in the faith of the Creator. When any test come, don't let nobody throw you off your deen. Yes, Elijah Messiah, Angelica, hands up. All praises to the Creator. And these nutbags. Work, you know, king. Jah know, you know, king. Them a work. It's a vibe. See, when your faith is weak in the Creator, them false gods gonna use that against you. And I'm gonna show you an example. What if I show you an example of these things, yeah? So these false gods, when they in their peak of deception, they might work wickedness in the blood clot. It's a vibes. It's a vibe, yes, family. Let me get this verse for y'all. It's a vibes. Alright, so check this, right? Let me show y'all something. Just get back to that. It's a vibes. So let me load on the music. So check this, right? If your faith is not strong in the Creator, that's room for allowing influence for the Drujas to come on in. Now, in the Book of Wars Against Jehovah, right, chapter 22, it talks about the battle of 1,000 years. And these are the assault raids where the false god, once they establish their kingdoms, they send down warrior angels to the earth to start gaining inspiration over mortals so they can start having dominion on earth. So this is a verse where it talks about these angels striking at midnight to try to take guardianship over mortals while mortals sleep. So I'm going to read a couple verses just giving you a description of how while your ass sleep, this is going on over your body in a sense. Verse 1. And now came the third assault raid of Osiris' legions of angels. Inspired to desperate madness by the harangues of their generals and captains. And every mortal was marked out, and his degree of faith in the Great Spirit known. So the destroyers knew well where to strike effectively. Now, like I said, these are the false gods. And they marked out every mortal and seen who had strength and faith in the Creator and who did it. And the ones who was weak, they struck effectively, right? So it's stated again. And every mortal was marked out, and his degree of faith in the Creator known. So the destroyers knew well where to strike effectively. Verse 2. At midnight again came the Osirians rushing on, and by force of numbers laid their hands on many mortals, millions, held fast and hurled missiles fiercely about the sleeping apartments, to rouse from sleep their mortal victims, who, to wake and see no cause for the whirling stools and tables and the terrible noises and blows in every corner of the houses, sprang up affrighted, and at a loss to know what to do. Many places the angels of Dias spoke audibly in the dark, saying, "There is but one God, even the Lord your God." Don't that sound familiar? Great Dias on the throne of Horeb, bow down in reverence before him, or destruction and death shall be your doom. Verse 3. The Osirian angels, gloating in their much success, now filled every house where they had fastened on, and made all such places headquarters for their captains and generals. See that? And thousands of tens of thousands of angel servants, who were proud and boastful, most hilarious in knocks and hideous noises about the house walls. Verse 4. In many instances, the guardian angels were overpowered and crowded off. See that? They pushed them niggas out the way. For because of the small faith and little spirituality in the mortals captured, their power was weak and scattered. See that? This is what I say about having faith in the Creator. You can't let nobody come shake your faith. You can't let nobody come accuse you of something you didn't do and let that fear sink in. No, stand firm on your square. Because if not, what did the verse say? If your spirit is not strong in the Creator, what did the verse say? In many instances, the guardian angels were overpowered and crowded off. Meaning they were, the guardian angels of the false god moved your guardian angel out the way. And the reason being, for because of the small faith and little spirituality in the mortals captured, their power was weak and scattered. And that's how you get captured by these false gods. So if your faith is not in the Creator, you're going to be subjected to these false gods. So like we trying to get you out this biblical God, showing you that this God is a deity and not the Creator, you're basically already a subject. So again, in many instances, the Ashars, the guardian angels, were overpowered and crowded off. For because of the small faith and little spirituality in mortals captured, their power was weak and scattered. Verse 5. But not in all cases had the Osirians won, but were in hundreds of thousands of families overcome of baffled till the rising sun, which drove them off, leaving the Jehovians still victorious. But sufficient was the glory unto Osiris and his legions, wherefrom messengers were sent to Darius speedily with most exaggerated tales of their victories. See that? See that? That's how fallen angels or drudges get inspiration over you if your faith is not strong in the Creator. If your faith is weak in the Creator and weak in spirituality, they'll have more influence over you. So we raising them up over here. We raising them up over here. You dig? Because it's a vibes. That's the beauty about the Oahspe. It shows you what goes on in the spirit world. It shows you what goes on with the spirits of the dead and the long risen spirits of the dead. You know what I mean? You got people dying every day, but then you have people that died in the 90s, people that died in the 80s, the 70s, the 60s. Those are more like the Martin Luther Kings and the Malcolm X spirits. Them niggas been in the realm for a minute, so they pretty know what's going on. That would be something of 2048 coming, all these famous people making appearance. Because that's what happens at the harvest times. You know what I mean? The spirits will communicate with the living. Or the angels will communicate with the living. That's deep. Yeah, see, these fallen angels, you see how they described that they was, doing things that was abnormal in the house. They had stools and chairs whirling in the sky, making sounds and noises throughout the house, making audible voices. If you don't worship Darius, the only one Lord God, you're going to be death and destruction. You know what I mean? So just imagine hearing all that, going through all that. Only for the fact that they're trying to convince you to worship this God. They're going through all that. But if your faith is strong in the Creator, they can't push that on you. You know what I mean? They can't pull that off. Exactly. They ain't ready. They're not ready for the click we got. Well, this nigga must got 100 channels for him to be popping up. Yeah, y'all. They definitely not ready. That's how sweet this Oahspe is, man. That shit tells you all the activities that these gods do. Huh? Check this one out. Look at the wickedness of the false gods. See, the true service of the Creator, true God and His host, they don't do nothing out of wickedness. But look how wicked these false gods are now. This is the book of Wars against Jehovah. Same chapter, just verse 8. At Plutonian requests Osiris made his selections for him. Check this out. At Plutonian requests Osiris made his selection for him, and then further explained, saying, to thee are privileges in thy line. If thou find fire not well suited to destroy a city, even thou, thousands of mortals be obsessed at the same time to fire it, then shall those suffer thy spirits to carry viruses and annihilate mortals unto death. What is the motherfucking COVID? Ain't that a virus? Ain't it an airborne condition? An airborne disease? Or airborne virus? What did the verse say? To thee all privileges in thy line. If thou find fire not well suited to destroy a city, even thou thousands of mortals be obsessed at the same time to fire it, then shall those suffer thy spirits to carry virus and annihilate mortals unto death, or to fill the city with epidemic air, well poisoned. See, you heard, or to fill city with epidemic air, well poisoned. This is the COVID right here. This is the Spanish flu right here. But who's participating in the unseen, carrying these viruses? The goddamn spirits, these damn angels. They could gather up atmospheric damn COVIDs in the cloud and bring that shit over here. These niggas wicked. This is the wickedness of the false god, you know. So again, to fill the city with epidemic air well poisoned, throwing mortals into fevers so they shall die. Huh? For in all cases, whether Baal or Ashtaroth or any of thy superior officers say to thee, destroy thou that city, or this city, or that family, or this family, or that man, or this man, thou shalt so fall upon the man or place as commanded, and accomplish it. See how wicked these false gods are? If they want to knock your ass off, they're going to knock your ass off by poisonous virus that's going to annihilate the lungs and kill your ass. That's the shit these false gods is doing. All in the manner of getting you to worship them. See how wicked these gods is? Verse 9. And now, with due ceremony, with excellent music, the assemblage was commanded back to the earth to resume work, and Osiris messengers bore the news to Dias, well exaggerated, extolling the fidelity of Osiris to the highest. So these niggas is playing with poison, yo. Let's read that again. It says, if thou find fire not well suited to destroy a city, even thou thousands of mortals be obsessed at the same time to fire it, then shall thou suffer thy spirits to carry virus and annihilate mortals unto death, or to fill the city with epidemic air, well poisoned, throwing mortals into fevers, so they shall die. That's exactly what we go through with the COVID. The COVID gotta be this shit going on. That shit had to be unseen. That's an unseen force that's behind that. And these unseen forces that's behind carrying poisonous disease. Let's get another verse. All right, we'll talk about that right there. Inoculating gases, casting one another in chaos. So we just read right there where it talks about poisoning mortals with virus, giving them fever so they could die. These are what the false gods doing. Now I'm going to go to the book of Judgment, chapter 32, and it says the same thing about doing shit like that. Watch this. Let's go to the book of Judgment 32. Watch this. So we just read over here. I'm going to read it one more time. If thou findest fire not well suited to destroy a city, even though thousands of mortals be obsessed at the same time to fire it, then shall thou suffer thy spirits to carry virus and annihilate mortals unto death, and to fill the city with epidemic air, well poisoned, throwing mortals into fever so they shall die. See that? Now when we go to the book of Judgment, chapter 32, verse, let's see, Naras, verse where we at with it? Alright. So we're going to start from verse 17. From verse 17. These angels take delight in evil instead of good. Sometimes they go about singly and sometimes in gangs of hundreds and even thousands. Verse 18. In olden times, the false gods used such angels to fulfill curses on mortals and to carry poison in the air and annihilate mortals with foul diseases. See that? Behold, this day my angels have showed thee that they can bring flowers in ponderous bodies. Even so could the false gods with their trained warrior angels who delight in evil cast mortals in death by poisonous and suffocation. See that? This is the shit angels could do, yo. They could kill us. These motherfuckers could kill us, yo. We ain't got to worry about humans, flesh and blood killing us. Now we got to worry about these niggas doing this. And they doing it through the COVID. It stated what? In the olden times, the false gods used such angels to fulfill curses on mortals and to carry poison in the air. COVID is like a damn poison in the air. And annihilate mortals with foul diseases. And what did it state over here in the book of Wars Against Jehovah? Thou shalt suffer thy spirits to carry virus and annihilate mortals unto death, or to fill the city with epidemic air, well poisoned, throwing mortals into fevers so they shall die. Nigga, we being attacked by goddamn fucking fallen angels that want to goddamn kill us by using poisonous gases. What the hell really going on? That's why you got to be fortified and strengthened up in the Creator. Strengthen yourself in the Creator, because if you show any sign of weakness, they got you. You know what I mean? You got to be strong in the Creator, because if your strength is strong in the Creator, you fortified. You fortified. Them niggas can't enter you. They can't tap you. They can't get to you. So look at that. And now another verse to coincide with that is in the book, the story of Thutmose, where Osiris killed the parents of Thutmose just so he could get on the throne. And it was done in the same manner. Let me get that. The story of Thutmose, the pyramid builder. Yeah, yo. So Oahspe ain't playing no games. No rotted games to play here, yo. Serious things are going on in these parts. Let me see if I can find a story of Thutmose, the pyramid builder. So we're talking about how angels can carry poisonous viruses and annihilate the lungs and kill your ass. That's what they doing, yo. They supposed to be going to the Etherian realm, practicing and educating themselves to go to Etherian realms, but instead of doing that, they want to come back to the earth and kill us. They want to fuck with the less fortunate. Like, y'all niggas already spirits. Why y'all fucking with us? Why y'all want us to die? But that's what they got going on. I said, yo, this shit run deep. Now check this, right? Check this out. Now we just read how spirits can poison people and kill them with viruses, with COVIDs and goddamn Spanish flus and shit. That's what's going on. Them Spanish flus and that COVID, all them epidemics, yeah, that's coming from these niggas. I'm believing now. This shit just ain't come out of some nigga just killing some bats. There's some goddamn spirits that done descended down and goddamn came with their goddamn plagues and viruses. Alright, so here's the part where Osiris kills the mother of Thutmose. Let me find that verse. All right, here you go. This is in the Book of Wars Against Jehovah, chapter 48. Chapter 48, verse 15. Thutmose could hear the gods and talk with them understandingly. And to him Osiris, through his angel servant god Egypt, gave special care from his youth up. At the age of 16 years, Thutmose passed the examination in the house of philosophy and in astronomy and mineralogy. At 17, he passed the builder's school and the histories of the thousand gods. At 18, he was admitted as an adept in the life and death, having power to attain the dormant state, and to see without his mortal eyes, and to hear without his mortal ears. At 19, he ascended the throne, being the time of the death of his father and mother. Check this, verse 16. For because Osiris desired to use Thutmose, he sent his destroying angels, and they annihilated the breath of Hannah and her husband, and they died by poison in the lungs. See that? Look what Osiris sent. He sent his destroying angels to kill the parents of Thutmose. By what? By what? For because Osiris desired to use Thutmose, he sent his destroying angels, and they annihilated the breath of Hannah and her husband, and they died by poison in the lungs. What did COVID do? COVID was a lung disease. It was a respiratory problem, a respiratory issue. Niggas getting put on ventilators. Here, Oahspe is showing you that these spirits is annihilating the lungs with virus, creating fevers and death. The same thing we went through with the Spanish flu 100 years ago. The same thing we going through 100 years later with the pandemic of the COVID. See that? These are the spirits of darkness carrying these things. So again, we have three precepts. Precept upon precept here a little, there a little. So right here again. For because Osiris desired to use Thutmose, he sent his destroying angels, and they annihilated the breath of Hannah and her husband, and they died by poison in the lungs. So that's one. And then in the Book of Wars, it stated what? What did it state here? Then shall those suffer thy spirits to carry virus and annihilate mortals unto death, or to fill the city with epidemic air, well poisoned, throwing mortals into fever, so they shall die. And then what it's saying here? In the olden times, the false gods used angels to fulfill curses on mortals and to carry poison in the air and annihilate mortals with foul diseases. See that? So could the false god with their trained angel warriors, who be 100 years or 1,000 years, and yet this by judgment. Oh, okay, no. I read the wrong part. Even so could the false gods with their trained warrior angels, who delight in evil, cast mortals in death by poison and suffocation. See that? Precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. We showing you in 3 different verses where you have spirits that are capable of creating virus in the atmosphere, which produces fever and poisonous in the lungs. This is what's going on in the Oahspe, exposing these false gods that they have the ability to do these things. See that? Peace to the y'all so fits. I see you. Peace to the righteous God. See you. Yeah, yo, this shit deep, man. That shit deep. These motherfucking angels out here fucking with us, man. These damn angels out here with the ability to take us out through goddamn poison, annihilating the air with poison, with virus. COVID is a virus. The Spanish flu is a virus. All this shit are viruses. But here in the Oahspe is telling you that the cause of these viruses is goddamn spirit angels who could take the virus and take it like this and bring that shit over here and bring it across country. That shit started in China and that shit made its way right over here. Within a goddamn couple of weeks. Plague and epidemic, yo. This is the time we in, yo. What did the Oahspe say? The time of Ajah is plague and epidemic in the timetables of prophecy. Hits the vibes. So right here, it states what? Eth. Eth being the time of light is named Dan. Jaya, the time of fevers, epidemic, plagues. And Ajah, the time of war dashing forth with power, grasping earth, being the subject. So we're basically in two periods. We're in the periods of Jaya, the time of fever, epidemic, and plague, and simultaneously we're in Ajah because we're dealing with the time of war. See that? That's what this next 33 is going to be. And then the coming of 2048 is going to be the time of ether, the time of light. See that? These are the sub-cycles, the prophetic times of the Creator that He gave into His servants. The root and the offspring of the seed of David, who was able to crack the seals of the book. Revelations, where it states no man was worthy to read the book, but one sprang up from the root and seed of David, and he cracked the book. Nigga, that's that Oahspe, boy. Yeah, no doubt, Sadak makes plenty sense, yo. Shit run deep, man. You know what I mean? These motherfucking angels out here carrying motherfucking plagues on niggas, and that's another thing. Let me get you one more to top it off, a plague. Let me show you what a plague. A plague is the same thing. A plague got to do with spirits. Watch this. To add on, as a last precept to what I read, to put the icing on the cake, watch this. I'm going to show you what a plague is in the Oahspe. You had the Black Plague of Europe. I'll show you what a plague is. 413:7. Hey babies. 413:7. Where we at with it? Yeah. You wanted to help me with some pills? What's up, baby girl? Yeah? So check this 413, 417. We get that verse about plagues. Watch this. Verse 7. So check this. This is what a plague is. So we just read how angels could carry viruses and inoculate the lungs of mortals to kill them. So check this. This is in the book of Micah, son of Jehovah, chapter 14, verse 7. It states, "And these groups at times descend to the earth, fastening upon mortals, even casting large cities and nations in death, because they carry the foulness of their hells with them. They impregnate the air with poison, so that mortals were swept off by the millions, and these were called plagues. See that? So what are plagues? Plagues is where they impregnate the air with poison, so that mortals were swept off by the millions, and these were called plagues. Because they carried the foulness of their hells with them. They impregnated the air with the poison. See that? Just imagine a whole bunch of musty motherfuckers. You got musty as hell. Nigga ain't put no deodorant on in months. You gonna smell that from a mile away. But yeah, so I'm showing you how deep this shit runs, yo. Showing you how deep this thing goes when it comes to how these fallen angels, the gods in the Bible. What? What'd you say, baby? It's not raining no more? Yeah, but that part. So that, you know what I mean? That's just to show you how these spirits of darkness go that low to do things of that nature to mortals. To inoculate mortals with viruses and disease and death to kill us off. And then to capture our spirits and make them subservient slaves. She alright, she alright. She alright.
Lord Jesus. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, we got them youngins with us. You know how it is when you got them youngins. Them 2 and 3 year olds. Hits the vibes. Let's pull up some music. Yeah, I don't hide nothing. We keep it 100 around here. Hits the vibes. Yes, family. Hits the vibes. Yes, family. We on the dance floor with it. We two-stepping. It survives. Yes, family. So as you see, the Oahspe is very, very detailed when it comes to the ways of the Creator. It survives. You want to do some chocolate milk? Yes, family. Love and light.
Go and sit down. Go and leave him alone.
Come sit down, baby.
I get it, go.
Thutmose, the pyramid building of the Oahspe, interesting story. Showing you how wicked these angels are, so you gotta stay fortified up in the Creator. Stay strong, faith in the Creator. No weakness. 'Cause it survives.